Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in today. So I'm really excited for the show today because with us is a guest that has a very unique kind of financing that I think a lot of you watching, a lot of you listening can really benefit from. It's so unique that I never actually heard of it for myself, and we try to work with every legitimate type of business financing that's out there. So this could be something super cool, especially if you're in e-commerce, because this is a new way, a whole new solution for you to be able to get the money you need to be able to operate at a very high level, whether you're just getting started or whether you already have a very successful business. So with us today is David Koifman. Now, David is the VP of Business Development at Kick Further. Now, he works directly with hundreds of growing product brands to understand their needs and structure funding co-ops. Now, he also builds strategic partnerships that enable efficient acquisition channels and address the challenges faced by the growing CPG businesses. Previously to his role, David led a client services team for a successful fintech company to a 100x increase in accounts. David, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Ty, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm really excited you could be here because at first and we talked before the show started, when I first looked at your interview sheet, I kind of thought that you had a really deep expertise in e-commerce, which you do. But I was really, really impressed to find that you started talking about a cool way for business owners to be able to get money that I've never actually seen before. And this is really interesting because e-commerce has become so popular and there's not a lot of funding out there that works for the e-commerce industry. So I'd like to start there if you're okay. What kind of problems have you seen in your experience that the e-commerce industry faces in getting funding?
So our clients are, a lot of them are doing e-commerce and they're doing wholesale as well. But the trouble comes with funding that e-commerce inventory. You're I'm sure familiar with factoring and PO financing, and those are, long-standing financing solutions for traditional wholesale and retail business. So a store comes to you, they place an order, you make stuff, you deliver it to them, and then you can get financing off of that accounts receivable. So what happens today, a lot of businesses are selling online. They sell through Amazon, they sell on their websites through Shopify and other platforms like that. And when the majority of their sales are happening online, they have no way of financing that inventory, particularly when they're early stage and they're super high growth. They go to a bank and the bank says, come back to us in a few years when you have a history of this success. That traditionally they are risky for financing from banks. And then there is other sources of capital like merchant cash advance that are very costly and sometimes put businesses in a position where it's tough to get out of. So our CEO, Sean, actually faced this problem with his own merchandising company. He went out to market to look for financing and had a really hard time. At the same time, his sister ran a Kickstarter campaign and with not much more than a demo raised $30,000. And he brought those two concepts together to form the marketplace called Kick Further that we run today, where we are structuring consignment agreement based deals where a business can come to us and say, hey, we've made this stuff, we've sold this stuff, and now we want to make more because a lot of people want to buy it. So we'll structure a deal around producing that inventory. We'll pay for their production. And then their paybacks come when they sell that inventory and the cash flows come back in from those sales. So we are directly addressing the cash flow pinch associated with that inventory production.
Which is very real. And, I had a guest on the other day, Travis, and, he has an e-commerce business, for example. And the problem he has is in order to get to Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon, which a lot of people know, it's the way to sell the most stuff on Amazon. He's got to buy in bulk, right? So the problem is he's got to lay out a bunch of cash to be able to get the inventory he needs to be able to successfully sell on places like Amazon. But ultimately what you're doing is you found a unique way for people like Travis to be able to get the money he needs to be able to pay for that inventory to make it easy to even give them access to more cash flow that they can invest in the growth of their business instead of having it all tied up in their inventory.
Absolutely. And a lot of these businesses, they do their first production run locally. They discover that this thing sells really well. And then they look overseas. And when you manufacture overseas, your costs go down, but your minimum order quantities go up. And then you're shipping over the water, and that takes another month. So you got a month in production, a month on the water, then you get it to your warehouse, and then you start fulfilling. Maybe that's through FBA by Amazon. Maybe that's some other 3PL or even out of your own office. But the point is, you're waiting an additional 2 to 3 months before you even start seeing sales come through. And then by that time, you're already placing your next order, right? So another really cool thing about the platform is the funding doesn't just come from, one person that you're interfacing with at a bank. It comes from a community of backers that are users on our site. So 10,000 people will be notified when your deal goes up, and they'll review your opportunity. They could potentially become clients of yours buying your product. And you also earn their trust over time. So you build credibility on the platform, and that actually enables you to lower your rates over time. So our businesses start off with offering about 1.5% a month to the backers. Some of our longest standing clients are funding every time at 0.8% a month. So you cut your rates really substantially.
Right. And then I want to dive into every aspect of these specifics that you've discussed. So everybody watching knows this is extremely rare. I mean, when it comes to inventory financing, I know of one source in the entire country that does it. And then you can work with e-commerce businesses. And what David's company does works on the wholesale and on e-commerce businesses. Then, as he said, when it comes to getting money specifically for what you're trying to do, you're relying on really high interest alternative lending is about the only other solutions out there. So let's dive in a little bit more to talk about how what you guys do actually works. So let's say I'm Travis. Let's say I have an actual product line and I sell a solution that helps people with dry eyes, which is what he exactly sells, right? So I want to come in and I need to order bulk in order to sell this on Amazon, in order for it to be an Amazon Prime product. I don't want to put all the money out of my pocket to be able to buy that inventory. So if I come to you, what does that process look like? How does it start with me being able to get money, and who am I getting the money from?
Sure. So is the solution, is that a device that produces dry ice, or is that the dry ice itself?
The dry ice solution itself. We can use anything as an example, but I just kind of chose that the actual something like Visine, but it actually is designed to help cure dry eyes, for example.
Oh, dry eyes. I thought you said dry ice.
Dry eyes. It could be dry eyes, but it's like
it can't be dry eyes. It can't be dry eyes.
So my eyes are dry. I need a solution in it. He has it produced, but there's a cost to do so. So how can you help somebody like that get the money he needs to actually distribute the product?
So I would ask Travis, do you have any production runs coming up? And Travis would say, hey, I'm placing an order with my supplier. I need 100,000 bottles. They're $1 each. For us, that's a $100,000 deal. So what we'll do is structure a deal around the 100,000 bottles, which is going to be $100,000. When do you need that money to pay your supplier? When is that inventory going to be ready to sell out of FBA on Amazon? And then how long is it going to take you to deliver 80,000 to 100,000 of those bottles to your customers? We look at that entire span of time, and that's our timeline for the deal. Let's say it's a month to produce, a month on the water, 4 months to sell. That's a 6-month deal, right? So we do a 6-month deal for 100K, and then he is offering a return to the backers. Let's call it 1.5% a month. So he's going to offer them 9% over 6 months. So what we'll do is we'll post this deal on the platform. It's going to be 100K that he's raising, 6 months, 9% return. And then people will receive an email and decide if they're going to participate or not. Some people will put in $100, some people will put in $1,000, maybe somebody will put in $10,000, right? So historically, we fund these deals in less than an hour, which is pretty awesome. So people receive the notification, they go immediately to the site, they buy in. 100,000 is raised, we send it to his supplier. When that supplier is ready to get paid, they make the stuff, they ship it to FBA. And then as he sells through that stuff on Amazon, he'll report how many units he sold. And then we'll invoice him based on those sales. And so as his cash comes back in from the sales, then he will pay us back and we'll pay back the backers.
So you've combined, based on your description, like 5 kinds of awesome types of funding into one. Really, think about it. So the way I hear what I'm hearing is it's a platform that connects people that need the money, like an e-commerce seller like Travis, with a bunch of backers, which are people that are willing to then participate and then put money into, a fund per se that gets him money. It kind of like crowdfunding almost, where the crowd is actually the one that gathers and puts together the money for the actual then person to create the product. I mean, is it does kind of have some kind of relation there to crowdfunding. It's something similar where it seems like you're working with a group to get funds for that one individual project. Is that fairly accurate?
Exactly. What we're doing is cutting banks out of the equation and crowd financing these deals. So people who otherwise have these funds sitting in their savings account, not earning anything, can now play this really interesting game where they are funding businesses that they choose to support and earning a pretty substantial profit. So our average users are earning 14% IRR based on the historical performance of our entire portfolio for the last 2 years.
Sure. And from what I've seen, being in the financial services industry for a couple decades, is that this is the future. So the newest kind of financing we have right now is peer-to-peer lending, which is very similar as well, where private investors are contributing money in, and then a platform then connects them with people that need the money. That money's pulled together and lent out, where then the backers can then get a rate of return. The backers or participants can get a rate of return. So something similar to crowdfunding or even peer-to-peer lending is what you're doing, specifically for the purpose of helping business owners get the inventory that they need to be able to sell, whether it be wholesale or online.
Absolutely. And another really unique aspect of it is that we structure these deals using a consignment agreement. And because of that, we enable anybody who has a credit card based in the US over 18, anybody can participate. This is not limited to accredited investors. Basically, if you're able to buy that inventory, you can participate in the consignment agreement because all you're doing is buying that inventory. You're buying the inventory, we're putting those funds together, and then we're consigning that inventory to the business to sell on our behalf. And then as the business sells that inventory, that triggers the consignment agreement, and then they repay based on their sales.
So then it is all done with capital. So let's say in this case that what I have the actual product that's needed instead of contributing the money. Can I then contribute the product for that person to sell as my contribution versus the actual funds they would need to produce or buy the product wholesale?
So if you had, some sort of manufacturing or supplier opportunity, you could absolutely get in touch with that business. What you can do as a user is you actually have the ability to sell that product if you have distribution means, right? So you can be a participant in this consignment distribution where you can, communicate with the business, say, hey, I want to, sell a portion of this product, and that inventory will go towards the sales on that consignment.
Okay, so I'm an optometrist. Travis has a great product. I'm like, man, I love it. I want to be a participant in this project because I love what he's trying to fix. And then not only am I a participant financially to help him get the money to be able to get the inventory, but then I could turn around and then help sell that inventory to my own audience that I have, obviously, because I'm an optometrist in that example.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. So what kind of return or what kind of interest rate? I mean, I don't know what you want to call what the amount that's charged to Travis in that example, but let's say I have an e-commerce store and I'm coming in and I'm using this to get the money I need to be able to get the inventory I need. You might be touched on this, but how much will my investment be? How much will my cost be per se to be able to use this process?
So there's two components to the cost for a business owner. One is Kickfurther charges a 5% platform fee. So let's go back to our example of $100,000 for 6 months. So we would charge a 5% platform fee. That would be $5K in this example. And then the other component is the return that you offer to the backers. And that's called our co-op profit. We recommend that businesses start off at about 1.5% per month. And they're able to improve that and reduce that pretty substantially over time as they build credibility on the platform. So they'll start around 1.5% a month, and they'll be able to reduce it down to about 0.8% a month. And that's currently the lowest that businesses are funding at, but they keep trying lower and they keep funding. So it's pretty cool how they earn the respect and trust of these backers.
Sure. And again, what I love is you're combining 5 or 7 of the best proven financial products that I've seen for business owners in one. And in this case, it's kind of similar to factoring. The more money, the longer the money is outstanding, the more the money will cost you. If you're able to get this done quickly and be able to get that paid back, you pay less than if you were taking 6 months to be able to get that paid back. So the stuff you sell right away, you're going to pay less money on than the stuff that you're still selling 3 months down the road per se.
Yeah. And so one of the challenges that our clients who have factored invoices face is that they can't receive those funds until they deliver them to their buyer. So they don't have accounts receivable until they've made their delivery. Then they get that invoice, and then they can bring that to the factor. In many cases, they've needed to place the order for their next round of inventory long before that happens, right? So that is the cash constraint that they're already facing that just isn't fully addressed by the factoring.
Sure.
Maybe if that's the only way that you're selling and you have this sort of overlapping factoring opportunity that you keep playing catch up with the next deal. But if you're doing a lot of business through e-commerce and you have potentially wholesale buyers who have different payment terms, then you're not going to be able to keep up with just factoring. So we actually have a number of clients that are using us in combination with their factors. Some of them have transitioned to just using us. Some of them do best with the combination. And another benefit to what we do is that we can play nice with other lenders. So if there is a business that's using a factor or a bank for a line of credit, and that bank or factor has a lien over all their assets, including their inventory, that's generally preventing them from working with other financing solutions. However, when Kickfurther pays a supplier directly for the product, that's not conflicting with their lien. We're buying that inventory, right? And then we're just entering into a consignment agreement with the business to sell it on our behalf. So we can coexist with any other type of financing solutions that they're using this model. And it's been really helpful for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because you're able to pay back the money that you got to get the inventory as you're actually selling the inventory.
Correct.
So what about on the other side? Okay, so first of all, do I need to promote the project? Because on crowdfunding, for example, I can throw something up on GoFundMe, but it's never going to get backers unless I promote it. Like my ability to get money is based on my ability to be able to promote that to my own social network. That's everything I've seen with crowdfunding. Is it the same way in your world? Are you just the platform that they can use to then go get their own backers? Or are you really, if I put a project up on your platform, are the backers already going to be there?
The backers are already going to be there. We have 10,000 people that are subscribed to receive notifications every time a deal goes up. And our average funding time is less than an hour. So we always encourage businesses to reach out to their community. And, this is an opportunity for their supporters, their early stage supporters, to profit with them as they continue to grow. But that's absolutely not required. You don't have to go out and hire an agency to bring backers. We have the community of people that are really ready to fund these deals and fund them fast too.
And typically, are these backers combining funds? Is one backer typically taking them fund the deal? Or do you find, like with crowdfunding, that it's just, sometimes hundreds of different backers are contributing a little bit of money that actually gets together the funds that's needed to be able to complete the deal?
Exactly. It's the latter. I mean, we do have what we call power users, and these are people that are deploying hundreds of thousands of dollars. And generally, they want to diversify and participate with a smaller amount in every single deal or whatever deals they like. Our average participation per user per deal is about $1,000. So if you have a $100,000 deal, you can expect about 100 participants. But people will range anywhere from minimum $20 buy-in to maximum about 5% of the entire deal.
So a lot of people would rather invest in a bunch of smaller deals or a bunch of deals versus put all their money into one. Just kind of hedge their bets.
Absolutely.
And it's what makes your platform so brilliant is that I'm able to come in as an investor that wants a good place to put my money, right? Because the stock market's crazy, as we've all seen, especially in recent days. So I want a safer place to put my money so I could diversify it over hundreds of potential e-commerce projects that are vetted by you guys to then be able to have a good chance of getting a return. And even if some fail, I still have all the others that can still help me successfully get my return.
So I'm not going to tell you that it's safer than one thing or another, but I will say that we do have a 14% IRR, that's annualized internal rate of return, over our portfolio evaluation for the last 2 years. And it is definitely wise to look at all of the projects that you want to support and not just pick one to put all your eggs in one basket. Just like with anything where you're taking risk, and these deals have been funding super fast and performing really well. And in this type of environment, what's cool about this is that you're actually funding physical goods that are going to sell, right? So no matter what's happening in the economy, people are still buying and selling things. And particularly now, people are buying a lot of things online. And when a lot of our businesses are doing primarily e-commerce, we can expect this to not be as negatively impacted as other things.
So, and that kind of brings me, I guess, to the other side of this. So we've talked about the one side of I have an e-commerce, I have a wholesale business, I need to get the money that I need to be able to create the product. What about the other side? What does it take for me to actually be able to participate as a backer?
You go to kickfurther.com, click sign up, fill out a form that takes about a minute, and right away you can buy in using a credit card, which is nice. We have a lot of users that are buying in with credit cards because you're earning points as you profit. And depending on when your invoice cycle is, you could have an extra month of float. So it's some nice benefits to being able to buy in with the credit card. Also, right now, I don't know how long this is going to last when people are listening to this, but we're offering a 3% bonus if you transfer money in from your account. So that's a nice benefit to joining.
So I can use my credit card, come in, put what's the minimum? Is there a minimum amount as a backer that I need to be able to come in?
$20.
Wow. So with almost any amount of money, $20 or more, I could use a credit card, I could use cash, use whatever I want. Well, I'd have to electronically be able to process it online, but then I can take a credit card, take $1,000, for example, come in as a backer, and then I put my $1,000 in, and then I can go through all my projects here on your site and then figure out what I want to invest in and then go through an easy process to invest into those projects.
Absolutely. Generally, we have 2 or 3 up at a time because they fund so quickly. It's not like you can come to the site and see 20 different opportunities. It's whatever we're delivering in terms of deal flow. And right now we're averaging about two or 3 at a time.
So what kind of information do I have on your website about the companies I'm investing in?
So the businesses are going to provide a pretty detailed overview about what the product is that's being funded, how they're manufacturing it, how they're fulfilling it, warehousing it, where they're selling it, what the track record is of this project and their business as a whole. And then we do pretty rigorous diligence on every single customer that comes through. So, we're looking at 150, 175 point checklist with a number of different elements from, traditional personal business credit type risk over to supply chain and distribution risk.
What kind of screening process do you have for, new e-commerce stores, whatever it may be, that are looking to get funds from the platform?
So we go through, what is your history? The most important thing for us is that they can produce and sell the goods, right? So we look at their supply chain history. How many times have you made this product? Have you had any issues with that? We look at, their testing and basically everything that goes into ensuring that they have the ability to place orders and receive product. And then on the other side of it, how are they going to sell it? We want to make sure that they've gone through the process of taking product from a supplier and getting it to customers, receiving revenues, and then they're ready to do it again, right? So we would never work with somebody who's never produced and sold product. So there are revenue thresholds for businesses to get in. 150,000 is the absolute minimum in terms of sales revenue in the last 12 months for a business to start working with us.
So you said how much was that in the last 12 months?
150,000 in the last 12 months. And businesses sorry, go ahead.
No, my bad, man. Go ahead.
Businesses get up to about 15 million in sales on the platform. I'd say at that point, they've probably earned enough that they can cash flow their own production, or they're at a point where, their line of credit from the bank, which is of course going to be cheapest form of capital, is enough to cover what their needs are.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't something that you guys are just starting. I mean, it seems like you guys, how much have you funded so far to date? Roughly, not exact, of course.
About $45 million. And we've done over 800 deals over the past 5 years.
And about what percentage I'm checking the stats on your website, just seeing how much you've grown since this website, since the last time you updated. What percentage of co-ops get funded?
It's 99%.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, in the last 2 years, every single company has funded, which is really cool. And we're excited to keep that up.
So as an investor, how long before I usually get my return? You said 14% are rate of return over 12 months, But if I'm investing in a project, what's my typical time frame to get money back on my investment?
So these all range. It's completely different based on whatever each client's timeline is for how long it takes to make their stuff and then sell their stuff. What's cool is let's take your example with a dry eyes product. It's a 6-month deal, right? Where it's a month for production, a month on the water, and then he starts selling at month 2, right? So at month 2.5, he'll have submitted his first sales report, and then right at the halfway mark on that deal, you're going to start getting paid out. So you're going to get payouts for the last 3 months of your 6-month deal every 2 weeks. So these deals can range anywhere from 2 to 10 months, average of about 5 to 6 months.
Wow. Okay. So on average, less than half a year, I'm getting my money back plus my 14% in that half 6 months.
So in our example, you were going to get 9% over 6 months, right? You're being offered 1.5% a month. That's 18% annualized, but you need to redeploy those funds to make that IRR.
Okay.
And then loss adjusted, it's 14%.
So I'm putting in $100,000. You see that, people of over a 6-month return might get that, $109,000, make my 9% on that money back within 6 months. And then I'm reinvesting and then getting another, 9% over the next 6 months, roughly, minus losses, which might reduce that slightly.
Exactly.
Cool. What have I not covered here? I mean, this is really unique. I almost don't know what other questions to ask you because I've never heard of something like this. I love it. I've never even seen something like this to exist. But what other questions haven't I asked you that you think are good for people that are either interested in being backers and participants, or people that are actually looking for funding for the wholesale side or the e-commerce side? What are some things that you think everybody should know that we haven't yet maybe covered?
I mean, I think you've done a really good job asking questions to cover all the answers that people are looking for. Some of the businesses that we can't work with, unfortunately, are perishables. Anything that requires a refrigerated or temperature controlled storage or transport. The issue is the inventory is our collateral in these deals. So it's necessary for us to be able to have that value maintained in whatever conditions, right? So other than that, we'd love to speak with any businesses that are experiencing high growth and are looking for a solution to help them get to that next level with producing more inventory. And then on the backer side, anybody who wants to diversify, where they're putting funds right now and have a really fun way to earn pretty great returns. We'd love them to join the site, participate with a credit card, or you can buy in now with your bank account and earn a 3% bonus on the money you trade.
David, it does seem like fun because I love businesses. So I get to invest in hundreds of different ones, which is really cool. But can I see, is there a track history? Can I see what's happening with my money and what's happening with those businesses and where they are in the process? Because to me, that's almost gamifies the whole thing. Can I access, what kind of information can I access in real time besides just getting my money back to see how things are going with those investments or the companies that I invested into?
Yeah, so we actually require business owners to post a monthly update. So at any point in time, you can come and comment and it goes right to the CEO or owner of the business and they will generally reply very quickly. We also have them post updates to, let us know what the status is of production, if everything's on track, if sales are on track, if maybe they brought in new sales opportunities. Oftentimes these deals complete a lot faster because the consignment agreement requires a business to pay when they sell the stuff. So if they projected that it's going to take 6 months to sell and it actually takes 3 months to sell, you're getting your profits much sooner, which is a nice benefit. On the flip side, it could take longer to sell and the business will, what we encourage is the business uses revenues from sales from other products to maintain their timeline. If they can't, they'll go beyond the projected timeline and will almost always offer a bonus to the backers. So to sort of maintain your earnings for that.
And do you see a lot of the backers continue to come back to the same project?
Yeah, I mean that's how these businesses earn the lower rates, is they earn the trust and loyalty of these backers. So we have some clients that fund in minutes. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, sure, because the same people are backing them. Can I choose that? If I want to back Travis and his dry eye solution, can I just set this thing up to automatically bring, I'm in automatically when the next opportunity comes up?
You and a lot of people have made this request, and we definitely have it on our list of priorities for things to implement. Yeah.
It's cool. That's a good request that a lot of people are asking for. It just goes to show how effective the solution that you've created is.
Yeah, because I mean, these deals fund so fast that sometimes, you're not always available at 5 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Mountain time to go on and buy in. And then you come to the site with a deal you really wanted to participate in, and you missed it. So
Yeah.
that's a common request. And so we're working on it.
That's cool. That's good. All right. Well, hey, David, I really appreciate you coming on with us today. I mean, I am a huge fan of what you do. You just literally created a whole new, I don't want to call it a financial instrument, financial product. I don't want to call it any of that. But let me just say a great solution for business owners to be able to get money in a space that's really, really, really been tough. To get money for inventory on the wholesale and e-commerce side is, I got to tell you, it's one of the biggest struggles that I've heard people in those sectors actually have, especially e-commerce. And we have people all the time coming to us with e-commerce businesses that are trying to get the money they need to get the funding. So just kudos to you and your CEO. This is a really brilliant solution, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing it with us today.
Thanks. I really appreciate the kind words and excitement. We'd love to have you join and support some of our projects.
We will. When we jump off the call, I'm going to talk about bringing you onto our finance team. I'd like for you to come and teach them how this works, because I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs come to that need this help, and then help add this to our arsenal of solutions to help entrepreneurs get money, especially right now with all the crazy things that are going on.
Awesome. You bet. I look forward to that.
So everybody tuning in, go to kickfurther.com. A lot of great information. Now, Kickfurther, they have a blog there amongst many other things, but it really makes it very simple to understand the solution from both sides. They're even give you an opportunity to, what do you want to do? You want to be the buyer? You want to be the brand? So it's very easy for both paths. Remember, what we talked about today really gives you two very unique opportunities. On one end, you get a really unique opportunity to invest in businesses. And I think that's cool. I think that platforms here, like David and his CEO have went through and offer and created, give us a really unique opportunity to be able to help other entrepreneurs and actually contribute our own fund to be part of their success. And then on the other side, if you are in e-commerce, if you are on the wholesale side and you struggle with these cash flow issues of trying to get the money in to buy your inventory and then waiting all this time to get the money back to then repeat the process, you just found the most unique solution I've ever heard to be able to solve that problem. No matter which one you are, somebody that wants to be a backer, somebody that's looked to get backing, all you have to do is go to kickfurther.com and be able to get all the information you need, quickly get started, and jump in and put your project up if you meet the requirements that we've talked about today to get the funding. Or on the other side, you can even come in and actually back projects, even using your credit card with as little as $20 to see how the process works. But it all starts in one place, which is kickfurther.com. So everybody make sure you check out kickfurther.com to learn more about this unique strategy to make wholesale and e-commerce businesses successful, and at the same time, also give you a unique way to get really good returns by helping entrepreneurs. Go to kickfurther.com to learn more.